Hello, 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 and welcome back to MackMac's Patreon. This is my sort of first video back. This one's going to be a sort of roundup of what's happened between January 1st and January 15th, 16th-ish on the Twitters. Not so much the TikToks because there's a lot of things on there that are happening rapidly that need in-depth videos. So mostly what's happening on TikTok or on Twitter as it slowly melts down. You're probably also wondering, why does she look like this? So the video that I'm filming right after this is going to be a specialty video explaining one of the topics that I talk about on here, but I'm going to do my makeup while I do it. So currently the only thing on my face is stuff to make me not a shiny monster. So I look a little ashy, but bear with me. So we're going to do a quick little roundup of what's been going on over on the Twitters. So, sadly, we're going to start with some sports stuff. So, Damar Hamlin, who's a young man who plays football, as many of you probably saw, but maybe didn't know all the details of, had a heart attack, went into cardiac arrest in the 12th minute or something of the football game on the 3rd of January. Now, what most people don't understand is they're kind of like, well, he just sort of dropped. How does a young, healthy athlete do that? So it's actually something called commodio cordis. There you go, commodio cordis. And if you are a hockey fan, you're actually probably really familiar with the phenomenon because there was actually a really terrifying incident of it in '98. So what it is essentially your heart is beating and it works on basically an electrical pulse. If you get hit in the chest hard enough at the exact moment between two heartbeats and it constricts your heart muscle, your heart's fooled into thinking that it beats, so it skips the next beat, and that throws off your heart rhythm and gives you a heart attack. Essentially, it's what we do during CPR. Essentially is you have to put enough pressure, generally breaking the bones, on the heart muscle to make it constrict to beat, or at least fool itself into thinking that's beating, so it'll start beating again. That is part of the principle of CPR. And so he got hit in the chest really, really hard because, a linebacker coming at you who's 250 pounds, hard enough, right at the wrong time, at the wrong angle, hit the wrong rib that did its job and compacted the way it's supposed to, stopped his heart. And it was really scary. They worked on him on the field for a really long time, and they had to do CPR, and they had to break out the AED, which is a conversation that also caused a bit of confusion. So we do CPR when you're not breathing. So we check for a pulse and all of the things, obviously. But CPR is really get blood pumping, get air in your lungs, get you breathing again. AED means that humans who have been trained to do, I think each person, if my training is still somewhat correct, each person who's doing it, you're usually doing it in tandem. I think you're supposed to be able to go 3 rounds before you need to tap out for a minute. So about after 6 minutes, if we can't get your heart beating again, then we shock you. So they worked on him, CPR and AED, for a really long time on that field, then got him transported, and then his heart stopped again. And it was really touch and go. It seemed like for a while, they put him, I believe, into medically induced coma, but he's a young guy. He fought really hard. He had instant care on that field, and now he's up and walking around and talking to his friends and his charity that he started. Again, he's 20. He's a Pittsburgh kid. He's a real, started from the bottom, now we're here guy. And his charity that he had just posted that he wanted, $2,500 because, he's not balling like that yet, to buy presents for kids from this past Christmas. I think it cost something like $7 million or something like that. So, a horrible thing happened, but those kids are going to get a good Christmas, and I think more people are aware of how important it is to know CPR and AED because the most random heart stoppages can happen. And also, commodio cordis is not going to say it's common, but literally a kid could fall off of the monkey bars, hit their chest. It compacts enough that it makes your heart think that it's beating, and a kid goes into cardiac arrest. So, like, please don't watch a YouTube video. Like, if you can't, go get certified through whoever it is, ARC or Ellis or whatever. Get CPR certified, learn how to use an AED, make sure you know where the AEDs are when you go places. Like, it's really important. And just to flesh out that last example, or first example I gave when I was talking about hockey. So Chris Pronger in 1998 was a hockey player, and it was a live game on TV, and he took a slap shot to the chest. It's something that seems like it happens fairly often in hockey. Like, they're knocking that puck down back and forth. It's going pretty fast. No big deal. You get hit. But for those of us who were watching it, he got hit, and he got up, and he just, like, clearly was not fine. Took 3 steps, hit the ground, and didn't move. And so that's sort of the last case of commotio cordis that most sports people kind of know. So a lot of us were like, oh no, not again. But also we're like, dude, it's probably going to be okay. So just I don't think that, like, you should see it for entertainment value, but, like, if you want to, like, see another instance in which this could happen, Chris Pronger, 1998, put that in. I promise you the video will come up. It's a little scary, but, like, it is as another view of, like, what it can look like. So another thing that happened in the world of sports that was not great. So Concordia College, which is, like, in the suburbs of Chicago, has a basketball team. And they have a coach, Steve Collar. Now, it blew up on Twitter that this man had been temporarily removed from his post. And people were like, okay, why is it turning that some random, like, basketball coach was removed? What did he do? Do we want to know what he did? It turns out that 6 of his players had ended up in the emergency room for rhabdomyolysis. Rhabdomyolysis. Oh, it's a hard one to say. But it's also really nasty. And it's actually something that's starting to happen a little more frequently. Essentially, when your muscles get super injured and overworked, they release protein that's like a dangerous kind of protein. It goes into your bloodstream. And that goes into your, like, heart and kidneys, and it can permanently disable you or kill you. And this happened over the course of one workout. 6 of different of his, like, basketball players all ended up with rhabdomyolysis. And so then Twitter's like, the fuck? How does 6 healthy athletes who just came back from, like, a trip? And so people were like, were they doing drugs? What was happening? No. It turns out that this team from blizzard-bound suburban Chicago had been on an away trip over Christmas or the holidays in California, and some of the boys broke curfew. Because they're college kids in California and it's not fucking snowing over Christmas break. And Coach Collar decides he's going to teach them a lesson and put them through a really high intensity workout. To the point in which, and I don't mean like, this is a really bad term for these, but I don't know what they call them anymore. But, like, it's not like when we played basketball and your coaches would make you run what they then called suicides, which is baseline to free throw, baseline to half court, baseline to other free throw line, baseline to baseline, and back. That's what happened when you got in trouble and you played sports back in my day. Apparently, this guy pushed these kids so hard their muscles started breaking down, releasing dangerous toxins into their kidneys and could potentially disable or kill them. Because they broke curfew. Because a bunch of teenagers with no frontal lobes and a bunch of freedom away from the snow broke a curfew. So this is all over Twitter for a while, and nothing had really happened, and people were just talking about what was going on. And then a couple of days ago, day before yesterday and yesterday, the athletic trainers, so the people who actually know about, how the human body works and kinesiology and how to help athletes, all resigned because they reinstated Coach Collar because, according to the dean and several people, it wasn't his intention to hurt anyone. When I tell you that sports are just a cesspool that needs to be completely overhauled, this is what I mean. He sent 6 young men with a potentially debilitating, very dangerous disorder, all because he was salty that a bunch of kids took advantage of being in California. No one got drunk. No one got hurt. Broke curfew. Now, if you're on Twitter, you might be like, wait, but that's not what I remember hearing rhabdomyolysis in reference to. And you would be correct, because there was another, I don't want to say outbreak, of rhabdo with athletes, with student athletes. But this time it was Rockwell Heath, which is in Texas. And this time, Coach John Harrell put 12 high school players into the intensive care unit. Let me repeat that. A high school football coach put 12 teenagers into the ICU with a disorder that's releasing dangerous proteins, into their bloodstream that's damaging their hearts, kidneys, and could potentially debilitate and or kill them. This is literally on the feet of everyone finding out about Concordia College. And they, again, put the dude on leave. But this time, because Texas and football, and Texas must always be Texas, parents and players are defending him. They're going, these kids are soft and they're really just complaining, and he always cares the utmost about us. And it's like, honey, 12 teenagers don't end up in the ICU because they're soft. They're there because they're dying. But also what happened in this case, more so weirdly enough than with the college kids, is a lot of armchair quarterbacks were talking about how soft these kids were and how they should absolutely be able to do like a high school workout. They could totally do it. This man made these kids do 400 push-ups in an hour with like 20-second breaks in between. So this is the thing that I talked about earlier, is that rhabdo is becoming more common, and part of it's being linked to things like CrossFit, where what we're doing is, just because we can make the human body do it, we are, and not really thinking through, is everybody's body equipped to do that? And so that's what happened with these high school boys, because their bodies are their high school bodies. Everyone's body is going to be different, but these are high school boys. Like, their bodies, even if they, are athletes who are regularly working out, the intensity, the interval of doing 400 push-ups in under an hour. Look at my peak physical fitness as a swimmer. I could not have done 400 in an hour. So this entire, town is really just going, these kids are soft, and this man is fine and should have his job back, while there's boys who are, some will probably never play football again, not necessarily because of physical damage, but just because, almost dying. So those were sort of the traumatic bad sports things that were going on Twitter in the last couple of days. And then we had the NWSL draft, which was a good thing. National Women's Soccer League. Now, here's the thing. You're not going to get a lot of information from me about the draft, because despite being a season ticket holder for Angel City here in LA, I still don't know shit about soccer. I am from the Glennon Doyle school of the soccer. I like to go because the crowd is cool and eat popcorn and yell and cheer. I know nothing about soccer. All I know is that we have a draft now, and everybody is still complaining that it is also still unfair to all of the soccer players. I don't understand why or how, but it has something to do with allocation money. I'm gonna actually look it up and learn so I can make a video for you. But the draft did happen. That's all I can tell you. And we have one sort of political one, and one that's it is also political, but in a pop culture sort of way. So Scotland pretty much just said, yes, fucking, your gender is your gender. We're not about to, stress out over that or stress you out over it. We're cool with it. And the fucking United Kingdom decided, actually, they literally actually'd Scotland being your gender is your gender. and are blocking Scotland from letting people determine their own gender and declare their own gender. Now, keep in mind, this rule, it's possible for the UK to do this because, like, Scotland is technically part of the Commonwealth. But, like, this rule has, like, never been used in, like, 100 and something years it's been, you know, on the books. And this is what they chose to use it on. When we tell you that, like, supporting, the creator of that specific magic school intellectual property does tangible harm, it's shit like this. Because I promise you that she absolutely made a call from her fucking castle in Scotland, ruining everybody else's fun, to her little shitty little turf friends on the other pasty little island, and they put some pressure on some people, and now Scotland is probably about to go Braveheart. And really, if we can somehow trace Scotland, like, finally, like, flipping the bird to the UK back to both, like, trans rights and the creator of that particular magic school IP just being the biggest, like, nightmare ever, that's going to be some juicy history for the books. But yeah, the UK second knows where it didn't belong, and Scotland's pissed, and I really think we're about to have a Braveheart moment. So I'll keep you posted. So the other somewhat political thing that happened on Twitter. So if you read, there's a book called It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Now, this book is about domestic violence, or intimate partner violence, really. And it's a theme that's in a couple of her books in the way that she writes. And separate things happened. One, her publisher and her decided that they wanted some sort of way to adapt the book, which happens a lot. When things get big on Book Talk and all that, they want to find ways to adapt them. And I don't necessarily think you want to make this into a Lifetime movie just yet. But what did happen is they decided to make a coloring book. Like, it wasn't a good idea. I was trying to find a nice way of saying it. It wasn't a good idea. I mean, her fans let her know that loudly. And she took that note. So she did something that most authors don't do. She took the note and she, like, went back to her publisher and said, yeah, let's not do that. And she came back and went on, I want to say Twitter, and said, hey, I heard you. Like, it was in bad taste. It was in poor taste. And I went to my publisher and said, let's not do that. Let's not go through with that. That's not respectful of the topic and this book. Seems like it's over, right? No. Some Gen Z, and yeah, I'm about to put my cranky old lady yelling get off my lawn hat on for a minute. Some Gen Z posted a video burning this woman's book. Yes, Gen Z. The neo-pronoun generation. They're burning books out here. And the quote tweets are fucking wild. So they're partially were burning it. People were like, well, because she has this disrespect for the topic. And then there are people who are literally, because the book deals with the murky gray area of what it can mean and look like to be in a domestic violence situation, of like, your feelings are complex. You may love someone who is hurting you, and that is the truth of the matter. You may go back to them. You may stay with, like, it's, domestic violence is messy, and Gen Z really likes its morals black and white. And so, like, they're burning the book. There's, like, thousands of people who are like, right on, burn this book. Like, the last time we did the burning of the books, it led to the burning of the people. This is not good. Like, I need us to understand we are past critical mass. We are at burning books. Now let me lead into the next thing, because these two things dovetail together. So, Netanyahu, the leader in Israel, put out a statement that I thought was a full fucking joke. I looked it up because it sounds so bad. That in order to get funding and essentially approval from the Israeli government, films have to be pro-Israel and supportive of the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. don't come in here with your anti-Semitism. Do not fucking step in here in the comment sections or retweeting me or any of that bullshit with your anti-Semitism. This is not about Jewish people being bad. This is about Israel literally going hurt people, but they're doing it on a very scary international fascist level. Like, it is, they just said if you want government approval, you've got to be state propaganda. We've done this before. It doesn't end well. Like, Israel's a thing, because the last time somebody did this, it didn't end well. But here we are. Again, don't come in here with your fucking anti-Semitism. It's not about hating Jewish people. It's about the Israeli government being wildly problematic and fascist at this point. That's what that is. That's a fascist move. So we've got burning of books and state propaganda. These are two things that have been on Twitter recently. Concerning. So now we're going to move into stuff that's like less concerning, more fun, annoying, if that's a thing. So Mindy Kaling. So Mindy Kaling came out with Velma. And everyone is super stoked. Cool, we're going to make Velma a brown girl. You know, Mindy Kaling's going to be in charge. And then Mindy Kaling'd all over Velma. The thing with Mindy Kaling, what you've probably seen is a lot of people shading the show. And there's been a lot of people going, you know, we don't critique men like this. And people are being misogynistic. That's all true, but Mindy Kaling is a horrible writer. Her characters are horrible. Her characters are the same character, right? And, like, yes, I know we talk about white men or perpetually write the same character, but, like, at least when white men, like, Mary Sue themselves, like, they Luke Skywalker themselves, right? Like, Luke Skywalker is the most boring motherfucker in the world. Like, Jesus. So boring. But, like, he's got cool superpowers and becomes a space knight and saves the galaxy. Mindy Kaling's Mary Sue's are self-hating, self-loathing, desperate for white men to love them, and experience no character growth. And she's done that from the Mindy Project to Never Have I Ever, which was more disappointing because that was like a child, and now with Velma. Like, there's only so many times you can watch her write a Desi girl who is hairy and hates herself. Like, and my argument here isn't that, like, you know, she's, you know, should be treated the same way men are and we should just be like, this is fine. It's like, it's narratively boring. Like, narratively speaking, it is atrocious. It's why we make fun of Michael Bay. He makes the same fucking Transformer movie, right? Like, it's narratively boring. And at this point, because she's the only Desi female voice that we really have, it is now, she's now steering the ship, right? It's become less like, hey, this is me working some shit out, which is what a lot of writing is, and more like, this is me pretty much telling every Desi girl watching this that, like, not only is this your experience, yay, I'm reflecting it, but me as a grown-ass woman with, like, success and family, you're still gonna feel this way and behave this way, and the world's gonna suck forever, and you're gonna be desperate for the most mediocre of white men. Like, why can't, like, any of our characters be, like, chasing after, like, Dev Patel? Like, or, like, if it has to be a white boy, and we have to pick, like, a conventionally not attractive one, like, could we get, like, one of, like, the sexy eldritch horrors? Like, I don't know. Oh, sexy eldritch horror. Finn Wolfhard, there you go. Like, if we must chase after, or the kid who plays Xavier on Wednesday, again, sexy eldritch horrors, just, good God, make it stop. And so a lot of the critique of her is better. And really at this point, like, I'm going to be really mean and petty about it and just say, like, to sum up, the Twitter discourse is, she writes the same self-loathing, hateful, desperate for white male validation character, and she needs to go to therapy. And also pass the mic. Like, at this point, if you've got the money to produce all the things that you're producing and writing and show running, let somebody else tell the story. You've told your story enough. We get it. It's sad. It's depressing. Let somebody else tell the story. Pass the mic. That is really the main point of all of that film and discourse. A slightly happier thing, Noah Schnapp came out. So Noah Schnapp, if you don't know who he is, plays Will on Stranger Things, the openly gay one. There's not a lot of straight boys on that show, like character-wise, I'm saying, like, those characters are all queer. It's very funny. But yeah, he finally came out. It was really sweet. He did it on TikTok, and it was just like, I came out to my, like, friends and family after being scared in the closet for 18 years, and everyone's like, I know. I'm gonna make a video because a lot of people, some of the Twitter discourse that you might have seen, people being mad that people told him, I know. Take it from me, as an old queer, I'm an elder emo, right? We know. I've taught kids since I was 14. I promise you, like, we know. Like, one of the hardest things for me ever during the whole, like, is Will queer or not, was going, like, he's obviously queer because they cast a queer boy to play him, obviously, kind of thing. Like, even just, you know, when people are making, like, weird speculations about him and Millie Bobby Brown dating, I'm just, like, sitting there going, me and my friends were just like, do they not know? Because we all knew. Like, like, if you were in the closet right now and you're scared that people know, I understand that fear, right? Because it's real. Like, people can hurt you. But I promise you, a lot of us, teachers know, like, random coworkers know, people know, and they're also, like, A, rooting for you quietly, and B, sometimes they're cussing some people out and making some silent threats and making some moves so that things are a little easier for you while you're figuring your shit out. It is not a bad thing to tell people that you knew. It's just how you tell them. I'm gonna make a longer video about that. More little queer babies. So Joe Locke, who plays Charlie from Heartstopper. I'm obsessed with Heartstopper. I'll probably also make a video about Heartstopper at some point. So he is cast in Coven of Chaos, which is the sequel to WandaVision following Agatha. Canonically, he plays Agatha's son, who is one of the first, he might be the first of the gay young Avengers, which is, like, the next crop of Avengers. That's going to be probably phase, like, 8 or whatever. But there's some controversy. So there's, like, lots of people are very excited because we are, like, hey, queer kids playing a queer superhero. We're very excited. Problem is, this is the second time that a canonically Jewish character has been played by a non-Jew. Wanda's Jewish. So Wanda Maximoff is the child of Magneto. His whole backstory is the Holocaust, if memory serves. Like, she's a Romani fucking Jew. That's her whole deal. She was played by Elizabeth Olsen. And it doesn't seem super relevant, but, like, part of the storyline that makes Wanda is the fact that, like, she's informed by the way that she grew up. She is informed by her culture. And also, it gets really annoying watching, like, people who look Jewish play Jewish characters when, like, anti-Semitism is so rife in media. Like, circling back to Mindy Kaling, Never Have I Ever's got, like, some wild anti-Semitism in it, right? It's a much lauded, much loved show, but, like, wild anti-Semitism that nobody ever really talks about, right? So, like, it's super, super, like, I get why people are offended that, like, yet again, like, I promise you, there are queer Jewish boys and young men who are actors who would totally nail this character, but they didn't. So Joe Locke, our boy from the Isle of Wight? I think he's from the Isle of Wight, or the Isle of Man, one of them, is gonna play, not Hulkling. He's not playing Hulkling. I can't remember who he's playing, but because Hulkling's my favorite of the two little queer babies. But yeah, and Coven of Chaos is currently filming right now, so that's been all over Twitter. People have been trying to get pics, and I'm like, y'all, this is not the Heartstopper set. Disney's got these people on lockdown. You will see no pictures. We're gonna roll into some more Sebastian Croft, some more Heartstopper stuff. So Sebastian Croft is also in Heartstopper. He plays Ben, the homophobic closeted bully gotta love internalized homophobia, on the show. He also may or may not be Joe Locke's boyfriend in real life. They're either dating or they've got that, like, really fun, like, teens, 20s, like, queer friendship where it's just, like, if you're not just friends with benefits, just do it. Like, I promise you it'll be fine. Like, I think they're, like, having that moment. It's one of those two. So they're dating or they're having, like, that weird, like, entirely too close friendship in your, like, teens and 20s, right? Anyway, our boy Sebastian got himself in a little bit of trouble. So, as we all know, the creator of that particular magic school intellectual property has a video game coming out. Not going to say the title of it. And, of course, people are pissed because, one, giant turf. Two, it manages to be more offensive than, like, the original. So the whole plot of this is you are a student in the 1800s at that particular magic school. And the goblins, which we all know at this point are a unsubtle anti-Semitic stab at Jewish people, are villains. There's a goblin uprising and they're kidnapping wizard children. There are many, 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 many people who said this way, 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 way better than me. But essentially it is blood libel, which is a lie that has been used and a stereotype that's been used to hate Jewish people and to blame Jewish people for horrible things, and that is the plot. Essentially, you are trying to stop the greedy, money-grubbing goblins from kidnapping and killing children as retribution for the wizards going back on a treaty. It's bad. Like, it's bad. Don't play it. Just don't. It's bad on so many fronts. But it was only announced very recently. They kept it under fairly good wraps. Who's voicing who. And, like, you got your standard, like, old British dudes that, like, we know don't care about the politics and are going to do it. But one of the main voice actors is Sebastian Croft from Heartstopper, whose co-star and really good friend is a trans woman who's going to play the first trans companion for Doctor Who, which I'm very excited about. But he chose to voice characters for this particular magic school IP. And Twitter was not having it. Twitter was big mad. And they were right to be big mad. It was not cool. But what I said was, like, I'm really disappointed in him because he really just could have been like, look, I really wanted to do this for nostalgia's sake and didn't think I would hurt anybody. But I did, and I'm sorry. Lo and behold, like, a couple of hours later after news hit, he was like, yo, I really just wanted to be part of this, like, thing that I thought was really, really cool when I was a kid, but, like, now, oh shit, I'm realizing, like, I really hurt people, and I'm sorry. He did the thing, you guys! He did the thing, right? So, again, I'm gonna loop back to, like, my favorite thing to say is, look, he doesn't have a frontal lobe. Like, I think we're forgetting, especially when we're talking about the Heartstopper kids, they're kids. They literally went from filming to studying for their fucking A-levels. Like, they should be getting drunk in college right now. They're, like, not old enough to drink in America. They're kids, and he made a really fucking stupid choice. Like, yes, he is a Gen Z, and we would theoretically hope that they've been raised on activism and common sense, and you would think being part of the queerest cast ever, it would sink in. It doesn't, because money talks, and nostalgia talks, and the opportunity talks, and you don't always think it through, but guess what? He did. He thought it through. I'm sure he got an earful from several people he didn't think he would. And then he apologized, and it seems like a heartfelt apology. Now, we will see if he lives up to that and makes any real change, but, like, at the end of the day, he did apologize and he did the right thing. And I think that's a good example of, like, not getting too pissed off too quickly when people fuck up, especially the young ones. And that sort of rounds out, like, these are things that will be talked about at work. Our last point that we're going to talk about is actually kind of a nerdy one. It's not kind of nerdy, it's very nerdy, and it's actually, again, like I said, I'm not wearing makeup, because I'm going to do the next video putting on makeup talking about it. But Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons is imploding. It just, Wizards of the Coast, the company, that created or owned the rights to Dungeons and Dragons, and Hasbro, which is their parent company, just decided to make all of the worst decisions, like one after the other, over a course of a couple of weeks, and it all came to a head several days ago, and it's just getting worse and worse for them. Basically, a short version, if you don't want to watch a longer video, is Dungeons and Dragons is obviously licensed property, but they create something called the open gaming license. So, like, if you want to write your own stories, or you want to make, like, themed dice bags around, like, the 7 dragons or whatever, or you want to write your own adventures, or if you want to play the game on a stream like Critical Role, which most people know is kind of a famous playthrough, you have permission to do that as a third-party publisher and creator. This was put into place like 20 years ago, so right about when I started playing. They decided to roll that back and institute some really draconian measures in order to prevent third-party creation. And it went about as well as you can imagine it would go, to tell people who've built decades of both friendships and businesses on the open gaming license that suddenly a billion-dollar company wants to milk them for all they're worth. So if you check out the Open D&D tag, the D&D Be Gone, D&D Beyond, and just the Dungeons & Dragons tag on Twitter, you can find a lot more information. But you can also check me in my next video, which will upload probably tomorrow, not today, where I'm going to go in depth to what happened, why I think they did it, and how I think it's going to shake out. So I hope this kept you updated for let you know everything that's going on in the past 2 weeks on Twitter, and I'll see you again in 2 more weeks, and hopefully we'll still have some good stuff. And also feel free to tell me how you like this video, if you want things to be different. Catch you later. Bye.